Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. Hello, good day. It is Tuesday. What day is it? Tuesday. Got to take the trash down to the street. Tuesday, January 6th. I hope everybody's having a great new year. Right. I'm your host, Preston Proctor. Wow. Boy, maybe I got into the studio too soon. Maybe I really did need to have one of those quantum energy bars this morning. 100 milligrams of caffeine, 10 grams of protein, no junk. Go to quantumsquares.com. Get 25% off your purchase using the promo code PREDSPRO. I did just have the dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt last night. I wound up running around all day, forgot to take any food with me, and so I missed lunch, came home, and had one of the dark chocolate pink Himalayan salt. I'm not generally a dark chocolate fan, but I love the fact that it's not sweet. I'm not a sweet person, personality or food-wise. I thought the dark chocolate, it was a lot of time dark chocolate can be bitter. So I'm not always a dark chocolate fan. If it's good chocolate, it doesn't matter if it's dark or milk, but a lot of times dark chocolate will be a little bitter. I thought it was nice. I thought it had some nuts in it. It had a nice crunch. Maybe that was the salt. I didn't really get, I don't know that the pink Himalayan salt does anything for me, but everybody has different taste buds, and you might find that to be different. But in general, I was a little hesitant because I'm not really a salt or dark chocolate person, but I thought it was tasty. Not going to replace the favorite still. Like I said, I have not gone through this with Prudence. She's back to teaching. So she's packing a lunch every day. And when I have to pack it, I always throw a bar in there. She doesn't because she'll eat it. So trying not to eat. I don't get it. Well, I take lunch if you're trying not to eat, but there you go. But still, chocolate chip cookie dough, the favorite here in the Proctor household. Anyway, quantumsquares.com. Use the promo code PREDSPRO for 25% off every day. I have gotten a new sponsor potential. I have heard of this company. I'm going to do some. I have not used their products. I hate to advertise for something I don't know anything about. I'll have to do some research. Have heard good things about this, and so you guys, you got to look forward to that, right? You might get 2 promos from me during the thing. Boy, who would want more of that? In fact, maybe I should just do a podcast of me doing advertisements, because I'm sure that's what people want. Okay. All right, let's move on. Jonathan Marsh's show, they just can't figure out what to do with him. It's driving me nuts because I'm tired of looking into it and thinking about it and trying to pay attention. I just as soon see him back in the lineup. Good player. If he was contributing, that would be awesome. Again, it hasn't worked out that well this year, but he's a good player, and the team's playing well. I mean, they're playing well, and he hasn't been in the lineup for a while, but still, the more good players you've got in your lineup, if you can get the players to play together, the better off you are. So I would prefer them to find a way to get him worked into the schedule, but he's, when we get to injuries, his injury's been pushed out again. So haven't heard anything more, but this is what I will say. I just went back, and I think I kind of ran through this a little too quick. Montreal just traded for Philip Danault. And so I don't think who is another $5.5 million player. Now, they might want to move Patrick Lane, but this is the last year of his contract, $8.7 million, and the guy is injured until the end of February. So it's a big risk somebody trading for Patrick Lane, who, one, isn't going to play, two, it may not work out, and then what? Then you've given up whatever you've given up to get an $8.7 million player, and it's just, you just lost it, right? He decides he doesn't want to re-sign with you. He's an unrestricted free agent, and so whatever wealth you gave up to get him on your team, assuming he comes back at the end of February. I mean, how much of season's left? You know, you got like maybe a month, and then if he doesn't work out, he goes away. What did you trade for? So Montreal is tight on the salary cap. So I can't really see them holding on to part of his schedule, part of his salary, and even if they do, it's not going to be that much given how much of I guess right now it's half the season. So, I mean, that would be $4 million off their books. But I don't know. If they're trading Patrick Lane, I think Montreal has to go with getting somebody going for a prospect and maybe some draft, conditional draft picks, because I just can't see it. I just can't see it. You can't see somebody giving up a named player for Patrick Lane. If he was playing, it would be one thing, but I think he's only played 5 games, if I looked at the stats correctly. So he hasn't really played this year. I can't see it. And I can't see the Preds doing that. I mean, the Preds have plenty of prospects, but and they have plenty of draft picks. I mean, it's true. The Preds are pretty rich in draft picks and younger players. I haven't looked at this in a while, and I'm just kind of off base now, but I'm not even sure where I find this. But that's the roster breakdown, free agents. It's up here somewhere. Draft picks. So, next year the Preds have 2 second-round draft picks. One they got from Minnesota. They've got a first-round draft pick, third, fourth. They got 2 fourth-round draft picks, a couple of fifth-round draft picks, 3 fifth-round draft picks, and 1 sixth-round draft picks from Utah. They traded theirs away. So, I mean, I guess, they could give them a prospect and a couple of, maybe a second and fourth round draft pick next year, and then hope. But I'm not saying they're not going to do it. But with Montreal just trading for Philip Deneau, I can't see them trading for Marchessault. I mean, I guess that's the nut of this one. Not that Nashville won't trade for Patrick Lane, but that it won't be for Marchessault. I mean, I guess what is it? Marchessault's 5.5, so they would immediately get like $3 million off their books. I mean, Montreal is fairly tight on the drafting, so for them, from and then Marchessault's got a couple more years left, right? He's 3 more years on his, so, not really that big of a deal. Toronto, again, haven't heard anything more about Toronto. Again, they are also very high on the draft, on the salary cap. I mentioned, I thought, like Nicholas Robertson, Bobby McCann would be 2 players that might be worth getting for the Preds, maybe both of them. Although that's a lot. I just went back and looked again, and Matthias Michelli, left wing, he's 25. He's in the last year of his contract. Pound for, what in the world is that? Nice. He's got average stats. He's in the last year of his contract. I think that should be a 3, not a pound. What? Thanks for the, yeah, well, 3 and pound are on the same, so I must have been trying to, or my production staff, trying to hit the $ key and the 3. But yeah, 3.425 million. He's in the last year of his contract, a restricted free agent at the end of this year. Average stats, so it wouldn't be like they would be losing somebody key to their current play. It did, at least not as far as I could tell for the stats. Granted, Marcia shows salary 5.5, so in this case, maybe if the Preds wanted to get Michelli, they could give up Marcia show and then retain some salary, and that would give Toronto some cap room, and they'd get a player. They'd get a better player than what they've got. The Preds would probably get a draft pick too, but so I don't know. I did see where I guess about 7 months ago there was discussion about Marcia Show being traded, and Carolina and Vegas were mentioned. I didn't look at those two teams. There was another one mentioned, but not Toronto or Montreal. So I don't know. But yeah, I was excited about the idea of getting Oliver Kapanen from Montreal, but after I went back and looked at their roster, I don't see it. I don't see that happening unless Patrick Lane and Oliver Kapanen came as 2 for I don't know what would the Preds give up, Evangelista. I mean, I can't see them giving up Evangelista, but maybe Lucchini. I don't know. It's kind of a swirling situation, and I'd love to be part of it. I think I think these types of discussions are very exciting. What was that movie about the Oakland A's? Moneyball. That kind of fun. That's kind of fun. And then Draft Day. That movie was it Draft Day? Yeah, Draft Day. So I think this type of discussion could be kind of fun, kind of interesting. Very, I mean, if for the GMs, I'm sure it may not be quite as, I mean, I guess it's nerve-wracking too, but that's part of the fun, I guess. So anyway, that is the only thing I can add to this whole discussion. So why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll get back to today's game. Right, and so today is the last game of the Preds road trip. We are in Edmonton. Game is at 8 o'clock tonight. Edmonton, one of my favorite teams. I don't really, what can I say? But if it weren't for Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nurse, I'd find somebody else. I think they got another guy on the team that used to play for a team I don't like, and so it's just if it weren't Ryan Nugent Hopkins, I don't really dislike Ryan Nugent Hopkins. He used to play for the Phoenix. Or Arizona, whatever they were called when he played for them. Matthias Ekholm. Yeah, we know Matthias Ekholm. And Spencer Stastny. So, this Ekholm, Stastny, yeah. So, can't anyway, it's not Connor McDavid's fault that the NHL only wants to talk about him. It's not his fault. Good player. We'll talk about his stats. I mean, he's got the stats. All right, anyway, so Edmonton Oilers, they are tied for first in the Pacific Division with 46 points. They are 20-16-6. At home, they are 10-5-3. They are tied with Vegas for the top spot, 46 points, but they have played 2 more games. And then right behind them, 3 teams at 45 points. So 1 point behind them are the Kraken, the Kings, and the Ducks. The Kraken have 2 games in hand on Edmonton. The Kings have 1, and Anaheim is even on games played. And then the Sharks, hey, 2 points behind those guys, and then Calgary, 3 points behind them, and then Vancouver, 3 points behind them. So, the top 6 teams in the Pacific split by 3 points. That's exciting. Man, don't like the Sharks. I don't hate Anaheim like Prudence does. We both dislike the Sharks. I mean, the one guy playing the puck off the bench and the ref's not calling it, and then Couture, Ryan Couture, big fat cheater. Anaheim Ducks, I don't hate the Ducks. I liked it better when they were the Mighty Ducks, but I don't hate the Ducks. They're not the L.A. Ducks at Anaheim. Got to give them props for sticking with the name Anaheim, unlike, the baseball team. I think that's so stupid. Living in L.A., he was like, no, they're the Anaheim Angels. They're not the Anaheim Angels at L.A. or the L.A. Angels at Anaheim or whatever they call themselves. But whatever. I guess they were afraid that people didn't know that Anaheim was near L.A. Hello, Disney World. So whatever. But at least the Anaheim Ducks, I don't hate them. Big rivalry because they're right there. So I appreciate the rivalry. I want to beat the Ducks, but I don't hate them with a burning fire like some of the teams. Anyway, so the Pacific Division is kind of knotted up right there. I don't think if we take a look at the wild card listings right now, what have we got? Vegas, obviously Vegas, Edmonton, Seattle, LA, and Anaheim are the wild card teams. So then we got San Jose, Utah, and then Nashville. Nashville has played 2 less games, or same number of games as San Jose and the Kings. So 2 points back behind Anaheim, 3 points behind Anaheim, have a game in hand. So the Preds are moving up, but we're talking about Edmonton. So Edmonton not really solidly in a playoff spot because they do have 2 games in hand on 1 game in hand on teams that are right there. So they've lost 2 in a row here at home. The first time this season they've lost 2 in a row at home. We'll get to that a little bit more when we talk about momentum. But this game is the last of 3 at home, and they're 0-2-0. Like I said, they have not lost 2 straight. They don't have a losing streak at home all season. They have lost 3 in a row 3 times, but they were either all on the road or 2 of the games were on the road and 1 was at home. So there you go. The last homestand, they were 2-0. Next up for them, they go on the road for 1. Then they're back home to play L.A. They're on the road to play Winnipeg. Then home to play the Kings. And then they've got 2 on the road, back-to-back games, Chicago and Nashville. So Edmonton and Nashville will play again here in a week. Where's my schedule? Today is the 6th. They will play again on the 13th, next Tuesday. So within a week, they'll have played twice. And this is the first of 3 versus these 2 teams. So in a week will be the second game. That game is in Nashville, and then they'll play again in March in Edmonton, and that March 15th. That's after the trade deadline, too. The trade deadline, I think, is early March. Last year it was in February, but I think the trade deadline is early March this year. And so that's the series. As far as personnel changes, they did have somebody that was injured. Oh yeah, Vasily Podkolzin. When I was doing this last week, as I mentioned, when I was getting ready to do Calgary and Edmonton in the same podcast, and decided I didn't have to, because we didn't play Edmonton until Tuesday. Podkolzin was day-to-day at the time, expected back on the 3rd, and he played on the 3rd, so I guess that was, not sure if he was activated on the 3rd or the 2nd or when. that happened, but it did happen prior to the game on the 3rd because he was in that game, so he's back. Number 92, right wing. So good for him to be back off off his injury. Not always on injured reserve. They might just not be in the roster. But people who are not expected to play tonight, all of these, it's been pushed out. All these were pushed out. Well, one wasn't pushed out, but 2 of these were pushed out, which, I always hate to see, not that it means they're worse off than they thought, but, And again, this time of the season, they may be holding them out for trade purposes, But number 42, right wing Kasperi Kapanen. Day-to-day was expected back on the 3rd, now the 10th. So not maybe back for the next game, may have been traded. Who knows? But not expected tonight. Number 96 defenseman Jake Wallman. He's vital on their team. I'm sure they're missing him. Day-to-day, Kapanen was out since the middle of December, so I think he's actually injured. Wallman out since the 11th of December, so I think also actually injured. Supposed to have been back on the 3rd, now expected back on the 12th. And then number 35, goaltender Tristan Jarry. And that name, I swear I had heard about that, but I forgot. He was acquired from Pittsburgh by Edmonton on the 12th. They did a goaltender swap. They swapped 2 players in each of them. One of each was the goaltender. So Tristan Jarry traded by Pittsburgh to Edmonton on the 12th, and on the 19th, he went on the injury list. He's not expected back until the 15th. Other transactions besides activating Vasily Podkolzin. On the 2nd, they did recall number 28 right wing Quinn Hudson from the Bakersfield Condors, but then on the 5th they assigned him back, so I don't know if he even got to play. And look, but on the 2nd they also recalled number 53 left wing Isaac Howard from the Bakersfield Condors, and he's still there. So on the 2nd they recalled 2 players, a right wing and a left wing, and then on the 5th they sent the right wing back down. So that's the major, maybe not the major issues, but that's their big changes. And so that's and then the return of Spencer Stastny, the first time Stastny will play the Preds. I guess won't return. Next Tuesday will be, his return to Nashville. But yeah, the first time that he will play his previous team will be tonight. So that's the Edmonton wrap up. Which means it's time to talk about the Predators. The Predators are 5th in the Central with 42 points, 19-18-4. 19-18-4. You realize what that is, people? That is a winning record. We haven't had a winning record since, way earlier in the season. The 3rd game. Yeah, won the first game, then lost the 2nd game in overtime, then won the 3rd game, and then... So this is the first time we've had a winning record since October 13th. We played on the 14th, so we went to, I guess we were 2-1-1, and then 2-1-1, and then 2-1-2. I don't know, and then 2-2-2, and then 2-3. I guess it all kind of depends on maybe October 25th they would have had 4 wins and 3 losses and 2 overs. So 4-3-2, is that considered to be a winning record? I guess you got more wins than losses. So maybe that's what it is, October 25th, and then they lost 3 straight. So definitely, so they would have had 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've been 4-4-2 on October 26th, and then so maybe that's what it actually is. It's the shootout win against LA on the 25th. They would have been 4-3-2. 4-3-2. And so maybe, but still, that's still October. That's last year. That is so last year. It was last year. But hey, a winning record now, 19, 18, and 4. On the road, they are 9, 9, and 2. So they got the chance to have a winning record on the road. The Preds are 1 point behind Utah, who has played 2 more games. And they are tied with St. Louis, who has played 2 more games. So the Preds are in, all the blah, blah, blah about playing more games than anybody else when I didn't see it. Now they're played less games than a lot of teams. The one team of note, Winnipeg. Winnipeg's lost 10 in a row, 9 in a row. Boy, Winnipeg has just sucked lately. But anyway, yeah, so the Central Division, 3 best teams in the league, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. And then the rest of the Central Division, so there's a 15-point gap between 3rd and 4th place. And then the 4 teams after that are separated by 2 points. So so being 4th in the Central is up for grabs. Although you're going to have to do a little bit better because the currently, I guess Utah, one of the Central Division teams. No. They are not in the wild card spots. Currently are occupied by the 2 Pacific Division teams at 45 points. So Utah is the first non-Central team in the wild card race, but they are 4th in the wild card race, 2 points behind both Anaheim and LA. So the Preds are 3 points out of a potential wild card spot, but hey, at least they're competing for one. The Central Division, most of the air in the Central Division is being taken up by Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota. Just looking at the overall standings, there's a 4-point gap between Minnesota and Detroit. They played the same number of games. Dallas and Colorado have played less games than both of them, so there are no worries there. But yeah, the top of the Central, the top of the Central and the bottom of the Central are the top and bottom of the league. Sad days in Winnipeg. But this isn't Winnipeg. This is Nashville. Tonight's game wraps up the road trip. The announcers want to call it a 6-game road trip. I call it 7 because the schedule has 7 games in a row. They want to call it 6 because we went up to Minnesota, then had Christmas, and then went out for 6 games. But on the schedule, it's 7. The Preds are 4-2-0 on this road trip in those 6 games. And the 5 games of the 6-game road trip, depending on how you look at it, they're 3-2-0. I like 4-2-0. As I said, I like wins. After tonight, the Preds come home for 4. Yeah, I mean, nice to be doing some home games. Yeah, Thursday, the Islanders are here. Then the Preds have a back-to-back over the weekend, Chicago and Washington. And then next Tuesday, Edmonton. So, yeah, cousin is a big Washington fan over Christmas with my wife's cousin, but, I guess I inherited him. We're talking a lot of hockey over the break, and so hopefully we get a big win there. That'd be good. Anyway, so that's the Preds schedule coming up. No personnel changes. Nothing changing here. Weisblatt still February 26th. I really wouldn't expect to see any changes in that till we get somewhere around the middle of February. Not sure what his status is. And Marcia Show got pushed out again, expected back now on the 6th. It had been the 20th, the 23rd, the 31st, now the 3rd. Who knows? Big transaction news. Justus Annunen got a 2-year contract. So this year he'll continue on the old contract, making $837.5 thousand. And he just got signed to a 2-year contract, making $1.25 million a year, and that should be a $, not a £. My production staff this morning, not really, Yes, I'm looking at you guys. A couple of little mistakes here. Little mistake. I don't mind little picky mistakes. So what happened last time where we had the wrong data in the spreadsheet was that took, and I had to fix something while I was, actually I had to stop recording, fix it, and then start again. And I don't like doing that. But anyway, yeah, so good job. Yeah, he's not... Boy, they have not played well in front of him this year. His stats aren't awesome, but good backup goaltender and got a 50% raise. 2-year contract worth $1.25 million. Yeah, he's 3-5-1 with 3.29 goals against average. Yeah, it's not his fault. Not his fault, but yeah. But the Preds had a bad stretch there, and yeah. Now Noonan's got a new contract. So that wraps us up on the Preds. And that takes us to stats. So let's get into it. Let's see. What do we have here? The first goal. Who cares about first goal? Preds haven't gotten a first goal in this year. Haven't gotten a first goal on this whole road trip. Yeah, that. And who cares? So on the road, the Preds, they haven't gotten it. So they're 3-0-1, which hasn't changed in a month. On the road, yeah, it would be interesting. I haven't looked to see the last time they got the first goal on the road, but they're 3-0-1 when they do get it. They haven't been getting it, but hey, 6-9-1 when they don't. Now that's significant. Hey, by the way, the Preds have played. I know I called them the Kings. I was listening to the podcast. I called them the Kings at one point. Sorry about that. Can't help it. I got my Kings banner in here. I got all my Pred stuff. Yeah, those of you that might have been started following this, Prudence and I were big Kings fans till we moved here. Actually, for a couple of years, Kopitar is retiring this year. Drew Doughty's going to be gone. Jonathan Quick's playing in New York, so it's at least they got rid of that Flake, Rob Flake. Didn't like him as a player when I moved to LA and started watching him. I didn't care. He would take penalties like in the last couple of minutes. He'd always be taking a penalty. And then we got that Jack Johnson, and he taught Jack Johnson the same thing. And then he, captain of the team, decided he didn't want to play for LA anymore, wanted to win a Stanley Cup. So he sat out as captain of the team, and they traded him to Colorado, where he got his precious little name on the Stanley Cup. Somehow or another, Robitaille decided to hire him as the president. He sucked. But hey, Jonathan Quick has his name on the Stanley Cup 3 times. Yeah, we did not like Quick leaving LA. Did not like it. We're big Jonathan Quick fans here in this household. But with Kopitar leaving and Carter retired. Well, Carter went to Pittsburgh and retired from there. But Trevor Lewis isn't there. I mean, so many of the players that we pulled for aren't there anymore. We were looking at the team the other day, and Dano isn't even there anymore. Never a big Dano fan, but it's like looking at the team, and it's just not, So I think sometime soon, probably going to be more rabid Preds fans than Kings fans, but that's it. It's still kind of in my heart. I'm purple. I like the purple. I don't like the black and white. Another reason to stop pulling for the Kings, but anyway, yeah. So anyway, long story short, there you go. So sometimes I'll slip up and I'll call them the Kings, and I'm not doing a Kings podcast, and don't intend to. But You wake up in the morning and life happens. So, so the Preds are 6-9-1 when they don't get the first goal. 6-8-1 if it happens in the first. 0-1-0 if it happens in the second. So that's not, right now, that first goal when the opposing team gets it is not, like I mentioned ad nauseum, I think last time, I don't think that the first goal is as important as it used to be. So let's get off of that and let's go to winning by period. The Preds on the road, still a horrible record in the first period, 3-11-6. 3-11-6, they haven't been getting the first goal, so who cares? When they get it, they're 1-0-3. When they don't get it, 2-11-3. Moving to the second period. The second period, the Preds are now 7-6-7, and they're 7-6-7 in the third period. So the second and third periods are both 7-6-7. So I think the first period they should be 7-6-7, but that would have required them to score some goals earlier in the season. Now they are scoring goals in the first period now. We'll get to goal scoring later, but so in the second period, let's just stick with that. When the Preds do get the first goal in the game, not necessarily in the second period, they're 3-1-0 in the second period. So that's they've 4 times, right? But 4 times when they get the first goal, they wind up winning the second period most of the time. When they don't, they're 4-5-7. So that's still not bad. 2-11-3 in the first. Coming to the third period, the Preds are 2-1-1 when they do get the first period. When they don't, 5-5-6 in the third period. And so all of that, coin flip there, all of that being said, what I care about is winning. So how does that correspond to winning the game? All right. In the first period, the 3 times that the Preds have won the first period on the road, they have won every one of those games. When they lose it, they're 2-9, and when they tie it, they're 4-2. And I think against that game against Calgary, which I said they would win, and they did win, but I wasn't sure. And they do. Calgary does have a good penalty kill, but it was not nearly as scary as Vegas's penalty kill. Woof. Almost rather not be on the power play against Vegas is wow. That was really scary. Anyway, I think they tied the first period against Calgary and then won the second period. Hey, and that leads us to the second period. The second period, the 7 times that they've won, they are 5-2. That's pretty good. When they've lost, the 6 times they've lost, only 2-4. You got to like that. And then when they tie, 2-5. So I'm really not liking the tie. Obviously, I want them to win the second period. And then moving to the third period, 7 times they've won it. They're 4-3 in those games. When they've lost it, they've lost them all 6. And then when they tie the third period, they're now 5-2. Again, I like to take out the empty nets because I care how they perform. Both teams perform, when the goaltender's not pulled. So that means 8 times they have tied the first period, and that's a losing record, 3-5, taking out the empty nets. 1-3, lost it 4 times. They're 1-3, and then the ties are 8 when they're 5-3 when they tie that. So that takes us to the combinatorics of what happens in the first period and the second period. I have been also tracked the combinatorics of the second and third. I don't find them nearly as interesting. But anyway, so on the road, the only scenario that has not happened, and all of them happened a lot, but winning the first and tying the second has not happened yet this season. As I said, I think all of the zeros for situations happening will go away. Obviously, they won't all win. Kind of interesting, I did go back and look. My favorite scenario, I think, is the tying the first, winning the second. And I went back to last year, and they were 5-0-0 when that happened last year. So I guess that's on the road, that is. Kind of an interesting combinatorics there. But yeah, because then, what's your situation going into the third period? And I think maybe I should spend a little bit more time on this. I have all these charts in here of Pred scoring in the third relative to the difference in the second, difference in the first, and then the opposing team scoring relative to the difference in goal scoring coming into the second, sometimes by the first. And I think the third period does, because it's the last period, if you come into the third period losing, there's a lot more impetus, and maybe maybe the situation does change a little bit. But anyway, as far as the combinatorics in the first and the second period, the scenario that has happened the most time is to lose the first and tie the second. 6 times, 1, 4, and 1 in those circumstances. As I mentioned, winning the first, tying the second has not happened, and tying the first, tying the second's only happened once. So tying the seconds happened 7 times, and when they tied both periods, they did win that game. That was 1, but in general, the 7 times that they've tied the second period, that's 7, 4, and 1. I don't really, or 2, 4, and 1. Sorry, 7 times happened 7 times, and not really my favorite scenario. Yeah, that's happened 7 times. It's also happened 7 times that they've won the second period. Winning the first period, winning the second period has only happened once, and they won those games. If you win 2 periods, you're going to win them. You're going to win the game. Twice they've lost the first and won the second, and they've split those. Tying the first, winning the second has happened 4 times, and they're 3-0-1. So they're 5-1-1 when they win the second period. It's kind of weird. I kind of pull for them to tie the first and win the second, which they did do against Calgary, and that just feels so weird. Losing the second has happened 6 times when they've won the first and lost the second. That has happened twice. That's 2-0-0. So that's good. When they win the first, lose the second, they still have wound up winning the game. They lose the first, lose the second. They've lost 2 periods 3 times, and they lost all 3 of those games. Tie the first, lose the second, and lost that game the 1 time that happened. So losing the second is a 2-4-0 scenario. Again, not my favorite. So definitely 2-4-0. When they lose it, when they tie it, 2-4-1. I don't like either of those scenarios, so definitely pull for them to win the second, and preferably either win or tie the first. But they haven't won both periods, but they haven't been scoring enough to do that until recently. But let's. That's right. That takes us to goal scoring. And I am trying to stick to my script. I kind of deviate, and I didn't know why. One of the things I did call out last one is that I thought that there was data that I was missing. It turns out I was not missing the data. I just didn't know where to look for it. And so now I've highlighted it in my spreadsheet. I do go through it, but I don't call it out. When I talk about the home team winning and the road team winning, I do have the data that breaks out when the Preds are on the road or are at home, because I do have the data that breaks out, like when they're at home and when the Preds win and when the Preds lose. So that just looking at this data in the right way at the right time, and I had the data. So my production staff had already had the data for me. They just needed to point out that I needed to find it. So, winning goal. When is the winning goal being scored? Right now, third period, 15 times overall. 37%, 50% more than the second period, which is next at 10. So that's 24% of the time the winning goal is being scored in the second period. And then equal between the first and overtime at 7, and then twice in a shootout. And that's overall throughout the season. If we take a look at overall for being on the road, also predominantly in the third period, 7 times. So 35% of the time it's been scored in the third period. And next up is the second. And again, evenly spread between the first and overtime. So the same overall characteristics apply both overall and away. So that's kind of interesting. When the Preds win, they are predominantly scoring the winning goal in the third period 56% of the time. That's 5 times. Once in the first and second, and twice in overtime. And so most likely when the Preds win, they're going to be scoring the winning goal on the road in the third period. For the home team, when the Preds are on the road, when they score the goal, it's kind of more evenly split, but the biggest number is in the second period, 36%, 4 times. And then the first period, 27%, but I think that it probably goes back more to when the Preds were anemic in the first period, so I don't think that number is necessarily so relevant anymore. But it still had happened, and then twice in the third and twice in overtime. When the home team wins, 21 times for the Preds, 20 times the road team has won, so evenly split between the road team winning and the home team winning. And when the home team wins, it's 6 times both for the second and third period, 4 times in the first, 3 overtime, and 2 in a shootout. So 29% is the highest percentage there. For the road team winning, 45% of the time it happens in the third period, which is twice as much as anywhere else, a little bit more than twice as much, because second and overtime both have 4. So your third period, 45% of the time, the road team is going to get the winning goal in the third period. So that's it's pretty solid there. Home team winning, well, that already went through that. The road team winning, because the Preds win on the road, then the road team won. So, there you go. That's the data that I thought I didn't have that I really did have. And as far as goal scoring goes, the Preds are being outscored in the first period. They seem to be keeping, I went in and I put this button so I can easily start things on that date. So curious, just looking back down the things I thought we could ignore. Maybe not so much. Well, yeah. Yeah, I think the Preds are going to get the winning goal in the third period. That's the one thing that even moving out that start date. But the Preds have been outscored in the first period, 13-29. Like I said, if I've got this radio button now, I can easily switch. But even since they started winning and playing better on the 26th, they've still been outscored 12-19 in the first period. So their first period performance still is not quite there. But, I mean, they've scored 13 goals overall. So leading up to November 26th, they'd only scored 1 goal in the first period. I think that was a win. Wasn't that a win? I think that was a loss. Anyway, no, it had to be a win. Anyway, let move on here. End date. I can look at it this way. That didn't work. All right, I got to fix that. But 11/25. Yeah. Why wouldn't that? That should work. We'll worry about that later. Anyway, so the Preds are being outscored 13-29 in the first period, and it's still, even since they started playing better, they're still being outscored. When they win the game, they're 10-9, so they're not outscoring their opponent very much in the first period when they win the game. That's why I kind of have to pull for a tie. Kind of been pulling for a tie in the first period, which is what they did against Calgary. Obviously, when they lose, they make up the rest of it, 3-20. So that's definitely not really, definitely not that great. The second period, the Preds are now outscoring their opponents 16-15, which is good. They're outscoring them by 5 when they win and being outscored by 4 when they lose. The third period, they're not the highest scoring team in the third period anymore, but they're still outscoring their opponents 26-22 this season. When they win the game, they're outscoring them by 8, and when they lose, they're being outscored by 4. So, I think the Preds are playing pretty well in the third period on the road. They definitely have improved how they're playing in the first period, but I'd still really like to see that go on. If we take a look at how the Preds play and the goal scoring on the road when they come into the second and third period, winning, tied, and losing. So let's go through that next. Again, the highest scenario. Now the other numbers are coming up, but the biggest numbers are losing, coming into the second period losing, and coming into the third period losing, 11 and 12. And that's twice as much as anything else. The other scenario, the largest scenario is 6. So but it's going to take a while to overcome, for those stats to overcome what happened in the first part of the season. And hopefully they continue to play better in the first period, and these numbers do tend to even out. But let's just get into it. The second period, when the Preds come into the second period winning, happened 3 times they've been outscored, 1-3. When they come into the second period tied 6 times, they've outscored their opponents 8-3. You'd like to see that, definitely, especially the 3 goals for the opponents on the 6 times they've come in tied. And then losing, they've come into the second period losing 11 times, but they've only been outscored 7-9. Of course, the other team is winning. And so, you would like to see the Preds be able to make more of an inroad in the second period. But hey, at least they're not being outscored by that much. And looking at the third period, the 6 times that they've come into the third period winning, they've outscored their opponents 7-6, but 3 of those were empty net goals for the Preds, so they're actually been outscored 4-6. Don't like seeing that. Twice now they've come into the third period tied. They've outscored their opponents 2-1. No empty net goals in those situations. And then 12 times, count them, 12, they've come into the third period losing, and they've been outscored 15-12 or 12-15. One of those being an empty net for the Preds, and 6 empty net goals for the opposition. So they've actually outscored their opponents 11-9 with goaltenders in their place. So I guess that's not really so bad. So that gets that's the goal scoring. Next up is matchups. Okay. Matchups. Let me find my spreadsheets here. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, now hopefully we have the right stuff here today. Yeah, had to look over at my production staff. All right, so what are we going to talk about first? Matchups. The Preds are home. Right, we talk about goal scoring. Goal scoring. Over here. Goal scoring. Preds are on the road. And we've got the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton has played 18 games at home, which is not – there's only one team that's played less. One team that's played the same. So 29 teams have played more games at home than Edmonton. The Preds have played 20 games on the road, which is also in the bottom. There are 5 teams that have played less, 6 that have played the same, and 20 that have played more. Again, kind of the reason why I like to look at the goals per game average, and in that case, Edmonton is second in the league with 3.78 goals for, and second in the league with 3.67 given up. So that's interesting. That's pretty close, actually. 3.78, 3.67. So it's pretty close to same number. What are the raw numbers? Where's my raw numbers? Edmonton has given up 68 goals at home, or has scored 68 goals at home and had 66 scored against them. Wow. That's really interesting. A lot of goal scoring in Edmonton. They must have really big goals up there. Anyway, goals for average for a home team is 3.07. So Edmonton is 0.76 above league average. League average goals against is 3.02, and so they're 0.65 above average there. And so let's see, when does that happen? Well, let's see. It's both of these. It looks like. Okay, so goals for Edmonton is 5th in the league in the first period, 2nd in the league in the second, and then drops to 12th. Goals against, they're 2nd in the league in the first, 2nd in the league in the second, and 12th. So they give up. Wow. Oh, wow. Sorry, I haven't really looked at these numbers yet. So, okay, just the raw numbers. Edmonton has scored 19 goals in the first and given up 21. So they've scored 1.06 goals in the first, which is above league average at 0.89, but they've given up 1.17, which league average is 0.86. So they've given up more goals, and that's actually given up more goals in the first than you score for a home team is contrary to the league average. So that's interesting. And then moving to the second period, they score a whopping 1.5 goals per game, which is, awesome if you're an Edmonton fan. With league average 1.06, so they're about half a goal ahead. That's wow. They've scored 27 goals in the second, giving up 22. So still a lot of goal scoring going on there. Goal scoring for them 1.22. Goals against in the second with league average 0.97. And then the third period, they score 1.11 goals a game, league average being 1.04. So goals against goals for, they're ahead of the league average in all three. And then in the third period, they give up 1.17 goals a game for the league average 1.10. Wow, 1.10. Oh, yeah, wow. Oh, yeah. So they give up more goals per period than league average, and they score more. Just looking at the overall, between last week and this week, the home team, I think going into Saturday's games, the home team had scored 3 more goals in the third than the second, and that's kind of reversed. Right now, home teams are scoring more goals in the second than the third. That was not the case last year, and it's not the case for road teams. Road teams have a significant advantage, score significantly more in the third than the second, 13%. They score 12% more in the second than the first, and 13% more in the third than the second. So that's interesting how that goes. So Edmonton team looks like they give up a lot of goals, they score a lot of goals, and they've scored about as many as they've given up at home. Looking at the Preds, we know they're anemic in the first period, so they're 23rd in the league, 2.85 goals scored, league average 3.02, so they're getting close. They're getting close to league average overall, just not in the first. They're in the bottom, 0.65 in the first period with league average 0.86. Giving up, as far as goals against, 3.4 for the game, which is 9th in the league. League average 3.08 the first period. They are the top goal. They're the road team that gives up the most goals in the first. 1.45 goals a game, league average 0.89. So they give up about, was that the rough 0.57? More goals, so a little bit more than half a goal in the first than league average. They don't, Well, let's just move on from the first period. The second period, not so great either. 0.8 goals for, league average 0.97, giving up. They're now 31st in the league, one of the hardest teams to score on for road teams, 0.75, league average being 1.06. So they aren't, They are way below league average in the second period goals against. That's great. Looking at the third period, the Preds are fifth in the league now in goal scoring for road teams, 1.3. 1.3 to a league average 1.1. And then against 13th in the league, 1.1. The league average 1.05. So they're getting closer to being league average in the third. The big downfall right now still the first period. I guess the good news there is Edmonton's only fifth in the league in scoring goals in the first period per game basis. Second in the league in the second period. So the second period should be quite the matchup because Edmonton is second in the league on a per game basis of scoring goals, and the Preds are next to last and being scored on. So it's going to be a very interesting second period in Edmonton, especially since Edmonton gives up so many goals in the second period. It should be second period should be quite. The first period should be very interesting from the standpoint that the Preds aren't very good at scoring and the Preds aren't very good at keeping teams from scoring, and Edmonton scores. So if the Preds can get out of the first period, again, with a tie, the second period should be really interesting. And then the third period, a very even matchup there. So it's so if the Preds need to be able to get out of the first period, maybe just down one, hopefully tied. And then the second period should be quite the contest. Two teams going up against each other. So if we make it to the third period, I think the Preds have a really good shot at winning the game in the third period, which seems to be their mantra on the road. But I'm actually, when I started looking at this, I was, Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's a good team. I complain about how Connor McDavid gets way too much credit, but they're a good team. So I think the Preds have a pretty good shot looking, goal scoring. So let's take a look at special teams. Okay, so special teams by rank, and then I'll take a look at my spreadsheets. I've been finding that kind of interesting lately. So first, let's take a look at the penalty kill. Again, Edmonton hasn't played nearly as many games as a lot of other teams at home. The Preds haven't played nearly as many games as other teams on the road. Probably not a big difference, but still, that's just how it goes. So the numbers, the raw numbers, would not necessarily be meaningful per se. And the Preds have played 2 more road games than Edmonton, so just even comparing those numbers may not be necessarily quite so fair, just the raw numbers. But we're going to do it anyway. So the penalty kill for Edmonton, they're 79.2%, 16th in the league at home. 11 for 53, 11 goals against on 53 opportunities. They've scored 3 shorthanded goals, which I think that when Vegas had done that too. No, I think they only scored 2. I think Calgary has scored 3. So Edmonton scored 3 shorthanded goals. As far as the times shorthanded per games played, they're 11th in the league. Goals against per games played, they're 14th. So if I remember, I fixed all this. So that's a good ratio. They've given up the 14th in the league in goals against per game play with 11th times shorthanded. So that's good. I would say that's compared to the league, a good ratio to have. And, 79.6, 16th in the league doesn't sound very good, but it's an effective penalty kill. And especially when you consider the 3 shorthanded goal, their net rank, they rise up to 7th in the league. Okay, goals and opportunity. I'm not sure what that is. Now I'm looking at stats and I don't know what the world I'm looking at. So let's move on here. So as far as the Preds penalty kill, wasn't so good. It's been getting better. Is that the only thing you can say? They're 29th in the league, 73.8%, 16 goals against on 61 opportunities. They've scored 1 shorthanded goal. For number of times shorthanded, 16th in the league. and then goals against ninth. So that ratio goes in the wrong direction, but they've been getting better, I think, is the thing that you've got to really look at as far as that goes. As far as power play goes, the Oilers have the top power play at home. I think if I remember right, they've got the top power play at, they got the top power play at, on the road too. Yeah. They have the top power play, just flat out the top power play. At home, the road, together, when they skate left-handed, whatever it is, Edmonton has the best power play. 33%. I don't care how many times. Now, 33%. So they have scored 20 goals on 60 opportunities, which is, okay, we'll get to the Preds in a minute. We'll cover all the comparisons. So they've given up one shorthanded goal. So they're still first. Even giving up shorthanded goal, they're still first. A whopping 31.7% net, but 33%. They're 11th, though. Power play per games played, they're 11th in the league. And so they're 11th in the league, shorthanded too. So they're not, probably, what is it, 16? So they're about league average on penalties in the game. So not a lot of penalties. I guess compared to some other teams. As far as goals for per games played, first. So the Preds need to stay out of the penalty box if they can. On the road, they're 16th in the league. Time as far as per game, time shorthanded per game played. So I think that would benefit them. Of course, you've got Danielle Nurse and Draisaitl, who just love to get under the skin of players and wind up getting things called. And then, maybe not so much this year. I don't know. A lot of times, like the last couple of years, the NHL kind of put their thumb on things and try to, at least especially 2 years ago, they really wanted Connor McDavid to win the Stanley Cup, and kind of put their thumb. Things got called one-sided. Don't know about this year. We'll see. Haven't seen Edmonton play yet. That's not their fault if the NHL decides to put their thumb on the scale. Not their fault. Don't know that many Edmonton Oilers fans. Thing when the NHL had their thumb on the scale for the Vegas Knights, the Knights fans were awful. Just wouldn't even consider it. Kind of acted like Vancouver fans for a little bit. Fortunately, they had to come back down to earth after the first season. Hey, it was their first season, so if you get a little bit of overly enthusiasm can be forgiven. As far as the power play for the Preds, they're 16th in the league for road teams, 21%, 13 on 62 opportunities. So the Preds have had 2 more opportunities in 2 more games than Edmonton. So again, it doesn't sound like they've only scored 13 goals. That's 7 less goals on 2 more opportunities. They have not given up a shorthanded goal. Their net rank is 11th. That doesn't really make sense. You'd think it would go down 16th to 11th. That must not be right. I'm going to have to go check that. But anyway, so power plays per games played, they're actually 6th in the league. So on the road, they seem to be pretty good at drawing penalties or getting penalties. And then goals for per game played, 10th. So not great. Ratio going in the wrong direction. But, like I said, they're getting better on the road. They don't have the things built into this to take out different games. But I'm sure there's a way I could do it. Anyway, so they're getting better. But basically, the net is that the penalty kill for Edmonton is pretty average, but their power play is pretty good. And the Preds' power play is okay. And the penalty kill could be better. But if we do take a look at this by period, if I found my special team spreadsheet, I did notice that on the road, the Preds in the first period on the power play are running about a 30%, 6 goals on 20 opportunities. I think they got a power play goal in the second period, but they've had 33 power play opportunities in the second period on the road, which is just under. I mean, the 34 in the first and third combined. They've only scored 4 power play goals. So I think they must have gotten one the other day because they're up to 12%. They're running a 21% in the third period, so 3 times on 14. So the Preds' power play in the first period is pretty good, and I think I think if we can see the Preds get on the power play in the first period against Edmonton tonight, I would expect I'd expect that to be successful. That would just be my guess. The opponents for the Preds, again, they're doing pretty good in the first period too. They're 28%, 7 on 25. The 24%, basically, it's pretty good. The opponents are pretty good in all 3 periods. Let's just say it. It's decreasing percentages as you go further into the game. Decreasing opportunities too, though, as far as opportunities go. 25 in the first, 21 in the second, 18 in the third, 7, 5, and 4 for the goals scored. 13 goals for the Preds, 16 for their opposition. 67 opportunities for the Preds versus 64. Delayed penalty opportunities. Yeah, the Preds have given up 2 goals on delayed penalty opportunities on the road. Empty net opportunities, major, minor, major, 5 on 3. They've given up 1 5 on 3 opportunity that was in the first period. They've given up 2 4 on 4 goals, 6 on 5. 31. So yeah, that could be better. Was this 6 on 5? 2 opportunities, 6 on 5 in the second period. I have to go check my numbers on that one. That seems a little. 6 on 4. They've given up a goal. 6 on 4. 3 opportunities. Yeah, it's just running through some of the stuff. Just rambling on here. Okay. Yeah. That production staff tapping on the window going, move on. Okay, we will move on. And where do we move to? Oh, we move to people to watch. People to watch. So here we go. You know. Number 97, center Connor McDavid. First in goals, first in assists, first in points, first in shots, second in time on ice. 29 center Leon Draisaitl, second in goals, second in assists, second in points, second in shots, third in time on ice. So 2 of the top 3 ice times go to forwards for Edmonton. Number 2 defenseman Evan Bouchard does have the top ice time, 24:15. Interesting, McDavid's time on ice for forwards is second in the league. Minnesota's Kaprizov is top at 22:59. Draisaitl is 9th in the league. These are at home. I'm pretty sure the overall standings would be the same. But yeah, these guys are on the ice a lot. So that, over a third of the game. Other players to note, they got 2 players that are over, 5 players actually that are over 20%. The top three have got 1 and 2 goals, so I'm tossing those out. One of the guys I think is actually even hurt. So, number 93 center Ryan Nugent Hopkins has a shooting percentage 20.7%, 6 goals on 29 shots, and number 18 left wing Zach Hyman, 20.6%, 7 goals on 34 shots. So as far as penalties go, you got Mr. Major Cheater, number 25 defenseman Darnell Nurse. He's got 35 penalty minutes, which is 5th in penalty minutes at home, and he's 5th overall as well. And also you got number 88 left wing Andrew Mangiapane, who is 10th in the league and 10th at home with 28 penalty minutes. So those 2 guys, they must be the 2 guys that try to get under everybody's skin. But Darnell Nurse is 5th in penalties at home, and and Mangiapane is 10th. So that's the story on the players for Edmonton. When it comes to Nashville, goal leader is number 91 center Steven Stamkos. He's second in points. He's second in shots. Second on the team in goals is number 71 right wing Matthew Wood, who is second on the team in shooting percentage at 22.6%. So he's got his 7 goals on 31 shots. And just as a comparison, Stamkos is leading the team with 9 goals. Connor McDavid has 12. Draisaitl has 10. So very, very comparable there. Road team versus home team, but Preds have played 2 more games on the road than Edmonton has at home. Still, just for comparisons there. Ryan O'Reilly leads the team in assists and points, and he's 4th on the team in time on ice, the first forward with time on ice, 1940. So Connor McDavid on the ice, 22:18, and Ryan O'Reilly, 19:40. So about 2.5 minutes more per game that McDavid is on the ice than the top player for the Preds. And Draisaitl's out there 21:34, so he's even out there almost 2 minutes more than the top person over the Preds. Evangelista is second on the team with 12. Number 77, right wing Luke Evangelista is second on the team with 12 assists. As comparison, the number of assists that McDavid has, he's first on the team with 26 assists for Edmonton, the leader on the Preds, 13. And Draisaitl is second with 16, so 10-point gap between first and second, but he's on the ice over a third of the time. His plus minus is probably pretty good. Don't look at that too much anymore. Yossi is first on the team in ice time for the Preds, 23-43, and second on the team in shots with 46. Forsberg does lead the team. Number 9 left wing Philip Forsberg leads the team in shots. And then leading the team in shooting percentage is number 49 left wing Reed Schaefer, 28.6%, 2 goals on 7 shots. That's your players to watch. As far as momentum goes, Edmonton at home is 10-5-3. They are on a 2-game losing streak. This is the first time they've lost more than 1 game in a row at home. I think they had a 5-game homestand that they did lose 2, but it wasn't consecutive. Their last 10, they've been 5-5. They are 0-2 on this homestand. The last homestand, they were 2-0. Against the Central Division, they are 4-5-1. Like I said, they've only had one, or no, I guess I haven't gotten to this. They've only had 1 2-game losing streak all season. 3 times they've had 3-game losing streaks. And like I said, this is the only losing streak that they've had at home this season. And I don't think the players being out has contributed to that. Not exactly sure, but don't want to think too much about that. For Nashville, did not update this. They are 9-9-2 on 9-9-2 on the road. They did win their last game. They are 7-3 in their last 10. 4-2 on this road stand, and on the last road trip they were 1-1 against the Pacific. That is the best division for them. 6-2-1 against Pacific Division teams. Preds are playing pretty well. Did win the last game against Calgary. Lost to Seattle in kind of a weird game. Won the 2 before that. Kind of a. Don't know what to say. Don't really want to get into it. Don't want to say what I think. Don't want to. I think. I'd love to see Nashville pick up the win. It's tough to see that Edmonton has lost 2 in a row. The first time they've lost 2 at home. Hard for me to say. I think they're going to lose all 3 in this homestand. The 3 games losing streak is in their DNA this season. So I went ahead and said it. Ingram was in goal against Boston. Picard against Philadelphia. Ingram seems to have been getting the starts lately. Yes, they had Skinner. They traded Skinner away for Jari. Jari came in, got injured. Skinner was doing the bulk of the work earlier in the season with Picard picking up some of the duties. Ingram and Picard are now the goaltenders. So Picard played in the last one. Ingram, like I said, has gotten the bulk of the duties, so I'm kind of expecting Ingram to be in gold, but I don't know. I don't really do goaltender picks anymore. So anyway, that's my rambling on for this particular game. Anyway, hey. Game tonight, like I said, should be really interesting. Hopefully the Preds can get out of the first period without being down more than a goal. And the second period should be some really interesting watching with strength against strength. So there you go. Thanks for listening. Hey, I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.